So the STEMSHIFT events came out of something that was happening at Hillsborough Community College back when I worked with them. For those of you that know me, you know that that's where I used to be, was Hillsborough Community College in Tampa, Florida. And we ran this very successful event. So I just want to give you some background on it and how it landed with NACCE and how NASA became involved in this whole thing. So the NASA Tech Transfer, it's actually, I think it was T2X, who was doing a ecosystem inventory. And they were looking through the state of Florida at different entrepreneurial organizations. And when they hit the Tampa area, some of our ecosystem partners, Hillsborough Community College ecosystem partners, kept telling NASA, you need to talk to Hillsborough Community College. They're doing a lot. You need to talk to Hillsborough Community College. They're doing a lot. And at that time, they really weren't in the community college space. I made a joke. Sorry, I can't help myself. So when I did my interview for the ecosystem, and it was Joni Richards, by the way, who was doing that work, she was absolutely amazed about what community colleges were doing for entrepreneurship, for business building, working with communities and organizations, the work that we do with underserved, underrepresented communities. And she thought, wow, how can we engage? What can we do? So again, those of you that do know and love Dr. Andy Gold and myself, we always can figure out something to do. You get a partner, that's calling you from NASA, you're like, okay, well, we're gonna figure something out. What can we do and what do we do best? So here's what happened. We put together something called a patent-thon. And there's our little graphic up there that happened at Hillsborough. And what this was designed to do was take that startup weekend. I don't know if any of you are familiar with startup weekend, but basically you build a business in 48 hours. We took that model, we married it together with design thinking and business modeling. And then for good measure, we thought that we would put the framework around the United Nations Global Sustainable Development Goals. So we married all those things together and we held an event. And we just pulled together different folks from our ecosystem for this one day, actually, I think it was a 2.5 day event. And it was a success. We were very pleased with how everything turned out, the partnership with NASA, where they were bringing in their patented technologies, which you'll hear about from Braley in just a hot second here, how we use the Global Sustainable Development Goals for them to be able to curate these patents in a manner that we would be able to use them for the event, this very accelerated couple of days. And what happened over this period of time was that we had about, I'm trying to remember how many teams it was, Braley, 10 teams maybe?
I think it was 10, yeah.
Yeah, I think we had about 10 teams made up of community college students. We had some people from the local community. We had some veterans. We had university students come in, and we were all just mixed up. We just cast a wide net to see who would be interested and had them come in and take part of this day. It was very organic, not super well organized, but you'd never know it. It just all came together as effectuation and good entrepreneurship does, right? So our prototype was born. So here's what happened. Since it was a success, much like all of us do, all of our community colleges, when you have a success, who do you go to? NACCE, right? NACCE. Other colleges need to hear about this. We want to scale this thing. We had a good pilot. How can we get other colleges to do it? Well, come to find out, NASA felt the same way. We started getting support from them. They understood the value of this too, to reach a different population, and it was very successful on their end as too, which made us feel really good. So in order for NACCE to be able to bring it on, we needed to keep it in a family of branding. And we had to take the Patent-Thon formula and put it in the NACCE family of products for all of you. And that's how STEMSHIFT was born. So now what NACCE is able to do is not just have the Patent-Thon at these STEMSHIFT events. Maybe we can start making them bigger. Maybe we can make them 4 days long. And NASA can bring in other programs of theirs. Or maybe we're bringing in the Verizon folks with some of this work that they do. We can start combining things. So I wanted to make it really clear how this thing began and how NACCE became involved. And I think now I'm pitching it over to Braley to give you a little bit of what T2U is about. And I'm going to shut up and give it to you.
Yeah. So I will preface this by saying I am not the NASA expert in the room. That would be Megan and Dan. So if you have any questions about NASA or their programs, please feel free to stop by the booth. It's right outside after, and they can answer any questions in way more detail than I can for you.
But I will give you context, though, Braley. Yeah. If you notice, she's in the picture with me. So Braley was at the HCC event. So she saw how it happened and can give those insights.
So this slide isn't working, but essentially NASA has a patent portfolio as well as a software catalog that basically anybody can access online. So that's what we were able to utilize for this event. I guess my slides aren't working again.
Sorry, is the projector off?
No.
Yeah, he troubleshot it. And
let me unplug and plug back in. We'll see. Anyways.
Watch your ears because it got really loud last time. Bless you. There it is.
There we go.
Maybe keep it in preview.
Let's see. Play from current slide. There we go. So, there we go. So NASA has 2 programs that we focused on. They have a bunch of other programs as well. But the 2 that we've worked with my company are the NASA Technology Transfer Expansion Program and then the T2U program. So T2X is specifically focused more on the small business side, but the Tech Transfer Program is really interesting. So essentially that's NASA trying to bring in their patented technologies from that patent portfolio directly to students at universities, community colleges, really trying to target entrepreneurially minded students to see if they could successfully commercialize a technology that has come out of any of the different NASA centers around the country. And so this program is really great. Again, Megan can tell you more about it. She works with the program very closely. But essentially it's helping to build relationships between colleges and universities and NASA around the country. So some universities, some colleges have instructor-led programs where they're doing design thinking around technology for the whole semester. Others are, design sprints such as what HCC did. So these are really 2 cool programs that you can learn more about out at that table. But this is what we were able to utilize for that first event at HCC. And with that, there's different types of licenses that are available for people who would like to ultimately try to commercialize that NASA technology. But the one that's really interesting that I'd like to call out is the Startup NASA license. And this is available really for students who are trying to commercialize that technology. So this license option is available to early stage startups that are looking to commercialize NASA technology. So it isn't available to just a student in a university. You have to be at least an LLC or some type of early stage company. But this license option essentially offers no upfront costs for 3 years to allow students to use that technology, see where they can take it. And it is non-exclusive, which means other companies could also license it. But again, those initial licensing fees are all waived for those first 3 years. And once those 3 years are up, then you could reapproach NASA, see if there's a different type of license that's available that could be potentially more exclusive for that small business. So yeah, that's at the bottom. So you have the option to convert it to a commercial license. So what we did at HCC was for the winning team, we had prize money that allowed for that winning team to essentially form an LLC. So if they had wanted the option to utilize this licensing option, they could form that LLC and then license that technology from NASA to really start that process of forming a business. So this is what we'll utilize again in the STEMSHIFT event in February for that winning team, or at least that's what we're planning to at this time. So this is really cool for students. And with that, I will shift it back over to Beth to tell you a little bit more about STEMSHIFT.
Yeah, so how does this all work? If you're interested in doing it, how does this STEMSHIFT thing work? So what we're doing is we're putting a call out to all of our NACCE member colleges to come to Tampa, Florida in February. So those of you that live in cold climates, yeah, there you go. There's a little bit cell right there. So come to Tampa. So then I get the question of, well, do I just come? Can I bring my students? Can we bring some staff members? You know, how does this work? So the answer is yes to all of the above. You can come, and we'll put you on a team of some other people. And you can work together collaboratively and see if you can come up with a business. You win the prize money to set up a little LLC for you and the people on your team. And then you get your NASA technologies, and you're off to the races. All right? So you could do it that way. Student teams. Absolutely, you can bring a student team. We will do our best. I know that Andy is working on this. I'm working on this to see if we can raise some dollars, scholarship dollars, for students to be able to attend. But sometimes it's easier for you to do that locally. So if you can, am I standing too close to something? So if maybe there's a local organization that's involved in STEM and would love to send 4 students to Tampa to do this experience and learn about design thinking, learn about business modeling, possibly start a business, hey, go for that as well. I also encourage, if you're faculty, reach out to student clubs that also have funding that can send students on trips. So these are all different ways that you can get students there. NACCE is all about you developing your own team. This could be a great way to take faculty, staff, maybe get your leadership involved, come away for 2 or 3 days and go through this experience, bring it back to your own institutions, and maybe run one of these on your own. Because I know that this is happening with, you know, our pitch competitions that we're doing through Strive, or the pitch competitions that we're doing through the Everyday Entrepreneur Program. Many of NACCE's models you're able to take back to your own institutions. And what does Carlene say? What's her R&D? Rip off and duplicate, right? So absolutely, come to this experience and see what happens. I think that's the beauty of it. So for the first, I don't know if we put the agenda on there or not. I don't think we did. But for the first day, we are getting to know one another. We're learning about design thinking. We do not introduce the NASA patented technologies in the beginning. We really take our time with the United Nations Global Sustainable Development Goals and empathizing through that lens. And then they will go through the ideation process, like which problem do we necessarily want to even address? And they don't know the technologies yet. This is what's really cool. And then we have them start building a business model. It is accelerated. This is not an experience where you're going to be lectured to. Andy and myself just will push the participants through a very rapid design thinking sprint and business modeling, and a lot of time working together in a team. It's great team building experience. So yes, we used the empathize. You're going to define what the challenge is, ideate, start building the business model. So when we bring in the patented technologies, using the Global Sustainable Development Goals, right? So when we bring in the technologies, they are then a resource. So being NACCE, we like to use effectuation. That's what do you have to be able to address something or be able to create to it. So NASA has curated their patents based on the UN SDGs. So we have 12 So I pitched back over
Yeah.
to Brandon because I think there was 12 that we were pulling together.
Yeah, so what we do is, so on the patent portal, there's over 12,000 available technologies. So obviously that's way too many to just say to the students, hey, go look at the patent portfolio, pick one. So what we do ahead of time is we essentially curate a list of anywhere between 8 and 12 technologies, and we do that on a variety of factors. So one thing that is important to know about these patents is they're not market ready. So you can't just pick up the patent and be able to take it into the market. There's still work that needs to be done to continue to develop them, do additional research on them, and really use them to, pivot them to the type of product that you're wanting to develop. So it's really a good base these patents are serving. So what we do is we go through and we think about, okay, what are the good, what are topic areas of interest in this region? What are some technologies that fall into those topic areas? And then we go through and we essentially search the patent portfolio. We think about technologies that are a little more further developed. So they're not, at a readiness level of maybe 1 or 2 where they're really requiring a lot of time and effort and money to get those ready for the market. So we make sure that, they're a little bit more market ready. They're friendly to the types of students that will be at these events. Some of these technologies are really advanced and require PhDs and 10 plus years of experience to understand. So we go through and try to pick those technologies that are maybe a bit easier to understand. We do throw some more advanced technologies in for students that are ready to tackle those challenges.
Or faculty.
Or
we had
faculty, right.
working on them last year.
Absolutely.
And that the scientist is alive.
Yeah.
They have to check that too.
Yeah, so the other thing we do is we go through and we check with the different NASA centers and we say, hey, we're putting on this event. We're thinking about highlighting this technology. Would the inventor be interested in potentially speaking with the students? Is that something that we could tell the students, or is the inventor still with NASA? So we go through this whole checklist to really make sure that the 8 to 12 technologies that we're pulling to highlight at the event are really friendly to the students, the faculty, the staff who will be there and ideating around those, really again to set them up for success should they decide to continue with building a business around this technology and their solution. And there's some really cool ideas that come out of it. We're asking the students, the faculty, the staff, again, to think about alternative use cases for these technologies. So we provide, they're called top sheets. I don't remember what that stands for, but they're essentially these technology sheets that are available on all of the different patents. There's information, and there's also alternative use cases that are listed on there. So that's a good starting point for students to think about, okay, well, if this is, for example, a patent around some optic thing, what other industries could this be used for? How could this be applied elsewhere outside of, space? So.
And to this point, this is a learning that came about during the Hillsborough Patent-thon. We introduced the technologies too early. So that then had students kind of go in a direction that somebody else had decided upon. So this year, we're making sure that we don't introduce those patents until the problem has already kind of been percolated. And then they can see which one of those patents would help support the business that they were looking to use or to start.
And the last thing I'll say about the patents that we pull for this event is we go through and we make sure that they are aligned with some of those UN Sustainable Development Goals. So, for example, at the Hillsborough Community College event, we went through and we pulled quite a few technologies that were that could have been used for vertical farming, for example, to really address that hunger challenge, which is one of the UN's SDGs. So we really try to make sure that the technologies that we're selecting are aligned to make it easier for those students to then apply those NASA technologies to the challenge that they're wanting to solve.
What was fun about it is you can come for a variety of different reasons. You could come to this event just for the experience of trying to do something in a very rapid way. And then there's people that were really serious about it and wanted to start a business and really use these technologies. So you don't have to come thinking, oh gosh, I have to start a business with this technology. Not at all. It's really to just get some volume going and get that momentum and see what comes of it. There they are. Those are the top sheets. that are really big.
We blew those up.
The top sheets, those are the actual patent. Do you guys want to
Technology opportunity sheet.
technology opportunity sheet?
Kind of gives like a snapshot of that technology.
Right. So we have those up on the wall so that the student or the participants can go look at each of the technologies and decide which one they think would work within their business model. So what we do is have each of these teams pitch at the end of the weekend event. And so we bring in community judges. They pitch a business model just like they would for any of ours, just like Pitch for the Trades did, that same type of model, because it's really fast. Problem solution, basic budget, what do we need to get this thing going? How did you use the technology, or how do you plan on using the technology? And at the time, Hillsborough had a grant, but we were not permitted to give cash prizes. So we couldn't give cash to these student teams. So what we did is got creative, like we always do, and said, well, we can pay to have the LLC started for that student team. And that's what we did. I think, Andy, we gave what, 3 LLCs, I think?
Yes,
3 LLCs. We also said that we could pay for their domain name for 1 year. So we paid that. You can't pay cash, but you can pay other. Yeah, we outsmarted the grant, so it worked really well. So more than likely, that's how this one's going to work as well. It's a little dependent on how our sponsors come in, but NACCE, we're pretty creative. So I think at a minimum, that's what that pitch prize would look like to the student teams. And maybe something else if we can get some. All right, here it is. This is your marketing NACCE person in the orange suit getting ready to talk to you. How do you get involved? I'm interested in this. I really want to do it. So the website is live. I keep trying to push this to everybody that all of the SHIFT events are live on the website. You can learn more about this on the NACCE website. You can register already. So we'd love to see who can get involved. There's different ways that you can be involved. You can bring a student team. You can serve as what we're calling an ambassador. So if you want to help a team that's already there, if you feel like you have subject matter expertise and can help out a team, we'd love to have you come and do that. And I think there's going to be a slide on that as well. So lots of information available on the website. QR code is there. I do believe Huva is circulating this same QR code. And I think we also have cards somewhere too with that information. So plenty of places to go to find out about STEMSHIFT for this year. In true NACCE fashion, we're going to have a webinar, but you guys are kind of already going through the webinar. This was going to be. So we're having a webinar about this on November 15th, where people can ask more questions. So if you go back to your institutions and maybe you want to team up with your science department or your biology or whatever, they can come and be a part of that webinar to learn more about this opportunity and different ways that you can get involved. And hopefully we will have some more answers as well on some of these questions that we might get today. So the webinar, November 15th, 10:30 to 11:30. NASA will be there as well to answer questions from their end.
And we have a lot of flyers for these on the NASA table outside if you want to pick up any extras. And there's one for both the webinar and for the STEMSHIFT event as well. So,
right. I alluded to this before. So make up a team. It could be students, it could be faculty, staff. Bring the bosses, whomever. It's a great way to get connected, be creative, innovative, solve challenges. The pricing is we tried to keep this very affordable because there's travel involved if you want to bring students. So our NACCE member price is $75 for this thing for 2 days. We'll feed you, all that kind of cool stuff. $250 for NACCE member if you're bringing a group of 4, and then I know there is no non-members in this room because you better be. But if not, become a member. You're going to get a cheaper price. Okay, so I'm not going to worry about that. This is taking place at the University of South Florida, and there is a hotel that is on their property, literally across a driveway from where the event will be. So you won't have to worry about transportation or anything. There's a hotel there with good pricing, and I believe I have that pricing on the website too. So it was very affordable. Again, Tampa in February, so it was a good place to come hang out. By the way, Busch Gardens is right down the street. I'm talking, you could probably walk to Busch Gardens. Am I doing my marketing job really well? Okay. Yeah, you can walk to Busch Gardens from the hotel. But that doesn't mean you can't put on the beginning and the end. This is a Friday, Saturday. You know, you can do Thursday to Sunday, right? Okay. These are the two different ways if you aren't necessarily bringing a team, or if you don't want to be a part of a team, you want to help in another way. The mentors really do help these teams move along, because it's fast, guys. It is a design sprint, and so they're very dependent on those mentors. The ambassadors, I'm kind of thinking students for that. This is probably more of a local opportunity, but hey, you never know. We're looking for folks that can just kind of help with all the moving parts that we're going to have for this event. So either way, student ambassadors, team mentors, different ways that you can help out. And we hope to see you in February, and now we'll open for questions. This is when you're going to ping, ping, ping us, right? Thank you, Andy, for starting. There's a question already, Bradley. Yes, sir.
So working on this thing is theoretical. Is there any practical side to it? Because you'd have to have equipment or a lab or something.
Yeah, absolutely. Beth, do you want to take that?
So yes, it is theoretical unless it is picked up by the NASA team. So what happened last year is that our winner worked with our NASA T2U people and started, they pretty much took it from there with that team and seeing whether or not that business can actually move along. Yep. And the people come in at different levels. Like I think there was a team from USF that they were already addressing something that has to do with the UN SDGs. They were just further along. And so once it's handed over to NASA, then they get together with the patent holder. What do you guys call that person? So there you go. So then it's handed off to them. Yeah, it's a sprint. Yeah.
As you do now, I got two questions. First one, as you do outreach, how do you, because you're not letting the community know what the specific technologies are, how do you bridge that between those that just want to come and experience a startup weekend and do something really cool versus those people that really have a potential idea in a particular area?
So I think the way that we did it at Hillsborough is we kept it more generic. Come learn about patents, or NASA patent portfolio. So if you're coming for that purpose, that's great. If you're coming to learn about design thinking, that's great. So they were really coming from three different points of view. And Andy and I encouraged our classes to do this. And we had several teams come out of the classes and got a lot more out of it than they thought they would. So if you already have something and you're trying to get NASA to pick up your patent, we had a couple of those. That doesn't happen. We stopped that at the application process. Go ahead, Andy.
My recollection was we didn't announce that the patents would be limited in scope when we promoted the event.
Yeah, we did.
Did we?
Yeah, we did. To the UN SDGs.
Yeah, but we didn't say it was 12 or something like that. We said.
Yeah, I can't remember.
No, we didn't, yeah.
I think, you know, if you just talk broadly about it, like you'll have access to the NASA patent portfolio to address United Nations Sustainable Development Goal challenges. That's pretty broad. And then when they get there, they'll learn that it's a narrow group of, it really makes it much better for them, so they don't have to spend a lot of time, as Braley said, searching for stuff.
Right.
Yeah, that just reminded me, you can go. So we did tell the students that they had the option to peruse the entire patent portfolio if they wanted, but we did tell them if you do choose a different technology that maybe we haven't highlighted here, done a little bit of background research on, you may not have the opportunity to speak with the inventor. You may not, or you may realize that it is a little bit more technically difficult to understand this patent. You might, the patent might be licensed by another company already, so you might not be able to move forward with this. So we did just give them a little bit of background on why we decided to highlight those technologies, but we did, offer them to look at additional technologies if they wanted. So.
And then my second question is, as an outstanding member of NACCE community for several years, what is the chance of other community college doing something similar to this there and being have access to like your curriculum or your flow and that sort of thing?
Oh, to doing a patent-thon?
Similar to this in our.
Yeah, well, here's the vision. Here's the NACCE vision, is that all of our SHIFT events are going to go to different regions of the country. So if your college wants to do a SHIFT event, then that can be STEMSHIFT 2024.
Or A and B, like the 24A.
Yeah, or if there's that much demand, then absolutely they can. The other thing that I know that NASA did, I think that they're also kind of doing these same types of things. Didn't you guys do one in Texas?
Yes, so I work for a different company. We are a subcontractor for NASA, so we helped the NASA Johnson Space Center put on a similar type of event to this. We weren't focused on the UN SDGs, but we used this as a model to put on a similar type of design thinking sprint event for 2 days this summer in Houston. So that was the NASA Johnson Center who had approached us and said, hey, we saw you did this with the Kennedy Space Center in Florida last year. We're interested in doing something similar here. What can we do about it?
Yeah.
So that came out of it.
So
as
I think, so the answer is yes, NACCE always is going to share, absolutely. But if you want to partner with NACCE and have that as a NACCE event, which then goes to things like the Entrepreneurial College of the Year and blah, 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 blah. You know how we link everything together? Okay, so, and then Andy and Beth can come and, we'd love to do that, facilitate it with you. That would bring us joy. So does that answer it?
Yes.
And you could rip off and duplicate and just do it yourself if you want,
John, the other thing I did is I built a class around design thinking, a college credit class, but it could be non-credit as well, and I'm happy to share what I've built. I used some of the Intuit design for the light stuff and the Stanford stuff, and then what I did is I gave students coming through that class an opportunity to kind of work through a simulated STEMSHIFT type of event where they would learn about the UN SDGs, they would be able to access the NASA patent portfolio, select one. I didn't curate them, they had to kind of spend the time to search for one on their own. And if you want me to share that with you, I'm happy to do that.
Mm-hmm. Another good idea is if you do your own and then you get some teams together and then take those teams to a NACCE one. So there's another idea. Just keep building that momentum, and it almost is, kind of curating and getting those teams together to be able to access the additional resources.
In putting together a team, if I wanted to bring a team from my college,
Mm-hmm.
what's the optimal team structure for students and mentors and the size of the team?
Yeah, so the team is 4. So that would be you and 3, okay? We found that to be the optimum size. What Andy and I found is the more diverse the team, the better. So having someone who, it doesn't even matter about the diversity, an artist, an engineer, a business student. Like 3 business students, it didn't work as well. Somebody that was more interested in science but doesn't really know business learned a lot, and then the business students learned a lot because of the science. So it just, the more diverse, the better. That's my recommendation. And I think it was those teams that won, if I'm not mistaken.
Mm-hmm.
Their mentor also was very strong. The one that won, they had a mentor who really knew business modeling and helped them put that pitch deck together. So they learned a lot. I think they were health science I'm pretty sure it was health. It's almost been 2 years now since Andy and I had done that event. So
I remember what their solution was too. It was very interesting.
yeah,
Coming from a STEM director, STEM Verizon and STEM Camp.
yeah, get those girls to come.
Oh my gosh, but design thinking, we teach that.
Yes.
United Nations SDGs, we teach that.
Yes.
We teach entrepreneurship. And we, at the final day, we have a science fair concept where their families come in. This is STEM Camp potential.
Yes, it is, and that's not by accident.
Okay. So, it's hard to change the whole ASU, but let's pilot it in my STEM camp, okay? You guys will be there or you'll support this.
Yeah, well, when it's local, like I want Hillsborough's STEM. What she's talking about, for those of you that aren't familiar, is the Verizon Innovative Learning Project. It's a great project, but it's limited. It's for certain NACCE members. It's kind of a closed thing. So what I'm hoping can come out of it is that Hillsborough's Verizon Innovative Learning Camp students will put together a team and come over for that weekend.
I'm thinking of bringing my summer faculty that teach at the
That's great. That's perfect. Another great idea. See, I love NACCE. They're so smart. Yep. Now I'm going to make Hillsborough do that. So, is anybody else in the VIL? Oh, okay, yeah. Yeah, and I'm feeling 2025 with you guys already. I'd like getting ahead. Any more questions? Yeah.
I'd just like to say, I'm Jeff Balkins from CodeBox. We will be there to support you in February.
Yeah. Well, you knew we were coming to you, at least for mentorship, right? CodeBox, our friends. Is anybody confused of the model? Did we do a decent job trying to explain it? Because it can be a little wishy, but really think about it in terms of this. It's a sprint. It's a design sprint that uses assets from NASA. If you've learned about effectuation, who do you know, what do you have in order to get started? And so we're giving you those things at the beginning of this sprint. How do you maximize those and come up with a possible marketable use for these patents?
I can pull up the agenda really quick on the website.
Thank you.
The other thing I was going to say is we had talked in our meeting last week about socializing this with faculty at schools so they could maybe send teams and build it into the curriculum. I don't know if you wanted to talk about that.
Yes, thank you for reminding me. So because we were in October, and many of us, I remember being faculty, it was just less than a year ago. At this time of year, I was getting my spring term ready. You can bake this in, if you really think you want to, into your spring term. Yeah, you could be running a project similar to this, and maybe take one student, if you can find funding for them, to come along to this experience. I don't know, if they do their homework on time or whatever. But there could be some incentives there to build it into your curriculum. Yeah?
So if we bring one student, you would match a group?
Right, we would have to find the other two. Because, yeah, let's say Holly, you're bringing one or two, and you have one or two, now I have a team.
Are there, there is a pitch in the end, so are there judges and are
Yes.
there prizes?
Yes. Yep.
Like a 3-minute pitch.
Yes, I believe it was a 3 or 4 minute pitch. It was short, yeah. And the prizes, like I was saying, the prizes were we pay for the LLC and for the website, the things that NASA required if you want to move this thing forward. Yeah. And yeah, we have the agenda on the website too. So if you're trying to plan it, what does that look like? Kind of the things that we go over. And as you'll see, it's very accelerated.
I may have missed this, but did you say that there's NASA staff that are facilitating this 2-day? What is their involvement with the 2-day?
They are on site for questions about the patents. Yep. So they'll do an opening of what T2U is, and then they hang around to answer questions about the patents themselves. The design thinking sprint and the business modeling, led by Andy and myself, but we bring in our community partners to help facilitate, and those mentors help facilitate. So that's what I love about it as a shift event, because it can get very local. Like, you can use your friends, like we have CodeBox local to us, you know, so you get to do that and really expand your network to help support the college.
The other thing that we're trying to do, we use this at our Houston event, and we're trying to do something similar for the STEMSHIFT event, but we're trying to bring in 1 to 2 local companies to Tampa or the Florida area that have successfully licensed a NASA technology, and we're hoping to bring those companies in to speak to the participants to really inform and inspire them. You know, what was the process like? You know, what were some of the challenges that you faced? How have you, taken this NASA technology and turned it into a different type of product? You know, how is your marketing going with that? What is commercialization like? So we're trying to bring in those businesses that have actually done this in real life, worked with NASA, gotten those technologies licensed successfully, and are now working to commercialize a different type of product. So we're working to find some of those. It might be a student team. There's a lot of universities and colleges in Florida that have really successful NASA T2U programs that are running. So we might have a student team come out that is trying to commercialize out of one of their, now there's all sorts of things going on, that have done it out of one of their university or college programs. We might try to find, an actual startup with an entrepreneur, founder, CEO that was a little bit outside of a university or college to spin one of these technologies out. So that's something else that we're working to pull in for this event that I think is really interesting and a unique value proposition as well. So,
and finally, I think the most confusing thing, if there is anything confusing about this, is that you have an opportunity to talk with these guys and utilize T2U in the traditional way. The STEMSHIFT Patent-Thon event is meant to be a sprint, an introduction, start gaining that momentum for both you and your students, and do something that's different than that traditional, follow this curriculum. And I think that's really, I'm going to speak on your behalf here, but that's what I'm hearing back from NASA, is that the traditional T2U program that the universities are using within their classes, hey, that's great, and they get a couple things, but it didn't have the energy of like this experience and then entering into the more traditional pathway, or use the traditional pathway and with this type of sprint experience. So that was some feedback that I was getting from them. Dan wouldn't know because he was probably spacing out when Those of you that weren't here for the general session, you missed it.
You handled it so well. It's a strange thing. Lights all of a sudden.
And applause, I like that.
Yeah, your reaction to the applause was
Weird, it was a weird.
no, you handled it so well.
They're great. They really are great to work with. And then Braley's team, I was so happy that NASA renewed that contract because they're fantastic as well. They're RTI, and they work with NASA and help NACCE plan these events. So we would all be working together as long as NASA keeps you guys around, right? Hint, 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 hint.
fingers crossed.
to help put these on.
Can I just say one quick thing?
You never say anything quick, but you're allowed to.
So